balance the energy. So no matter what level of food intake you're at, there's got to be a balance between the calories that you consume, whether or not you're laying down or using your body stores, your fat stores for energy, and the number of calories that you burn. That relationship cannot be broken. And as you all know, the fuels that we use, the free fatty acids, the glucose and amino acids, they come from our diet or our adipose tissue for fat, our glycogen for glucose, and a little bit for, okay, I like to move around, sorry, and a little bit from protein. Okay, and in balancing the calories in and calories out, I want to just remind you again of what the calorie densities of these different tissues are. Adipose tissue, which is about 80% fat, has a density of 7,800 calories per kilogram. Muscle tissue, which is mostly water, has a density of 1,200 calories per kilogram. And glycogen, which is a starch which is associated with water both intracellularly and extracellularly because of the excess water that it binds, has a density of about 1,100 calories per kilogram. So when you're looking at weight changes as a function of caloric restriction, it is important to understand what composition of that weight is changing. Okay. Starting point, reference point that you can think a little bit about. The textbook male, the 70-kilogram young adult, carries about 15 kilograms of adipose tissue. A little book that accompanied this called Hunger and Man, in which they took excerpts from the subject's diaries. One subject said at 2 months, tried to play ping pong, was amazed at the difficulty of hand-eye coordination. Another one in the 5th month said, damn, if they want any more work out of me, they're going to have to beat me. Most of them, because they were in their 20s, originally signed up for they were on the University of Minnesota campus, so they signed up for some classes. They pretty much quit. There were only a couple that stayed through the end of the semester. It was just too much bother to study.
How did they get compliance in such a radical...
Brozak's nickname was the Mad Russian.
Yeah.
That's all the more I know.
Okay.
But he basically got him to agree to do it. Well, there was another trick. Although they could move around campus freely, they had to go in pairs. So it wasn't real easy to cheat. But the real reason they sent them out in pairs is that in the last half of this, they'd start fainting. So they needed a second person along to make sure that help would come. Some of the other interesting quotes were, I bought a tube of toothpaste last night. I spent 3 hours arguing with myself whether or not I should eat it or just use it. This was a severe restriction. Oh, there's a huge psychological study that was done along with it. The good part is there was no loss in intelligence, but there was a lot of loss in concentration. Okay, so what probably happened, there was a decrease in metabolic rate. It may have been due to some organ size. Animal studies says that, liver gets smaller. But a lot of this really goes with that slope of fat-free mass versus resting metabolic rate. The other likely explanation